While most MSPs are out there hunting endlessly for new clients, the smart ones know their richest opportunities lie in the fields they already own. My name's James Steele and this is Harvest, where MSPs and industry experts share proven ways to grow profitable revenue from your current customer base. No theory, no fluff, just field-tested strategies that work. Let's grow.
The biggest mistake was not knowing the numbers. Sending an email is not communication. It makes getting their job done a hell of a lot faster. Understand that this person on the other end is freaking out. You're losing money and you are paying to work for somebody. And when I went back to my accountant, they said, "Oh, I did my best." Sorry.
Ladies and gents, welcome back to Harvest, the MSP sales show. This is a truly global show, as you've probably picked up by now. And we've got our second Canadian on. And she's not just making up the numbers. We've got none other than Barbara Paluszkiewicz. She's CEO of CDN Technologies. She's a veteran of the industry and a 30-year MSP veteran. And she is bringing some refreshing takes. You don't need complex upselling tactics to grow your accounts necessarily. The way she does it, she just does the basics brilliantly. She layers on some empathy and some old school relationship building, and that's where the success comes from. So we're going to explore her foundational package approach, her Disney trained techs, the accounting audit that nearly killed her business completely, why emails don't count as communication, and her spicy take on industry event FOMO. After 3 decades, you've got to say the proof is in the pudding. Simplicity probably does win. Grab yourself a pad as always. Enjoy this episode. Hope you get plenty from it. And we'll see you on the other side. Welcome, Barb Paluszkiewicz, CEO of CDN Technologies. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. And we're going to dive straight in, as is customary on this show, with a misconception about you, Barb. What do people get wrong about you when they first meet you?
Oh, that I'm not technical. I am actually. That I can speak tech, I could talk tech, and I can sit behind one of the desks here and do a little bit of work sometimes.
So many of us actually struggle with that tech side of it and the sales side, but you got the balance pretty sorted from what I can tell.
I hope so. That's a good tell then. My balance is sorted. I can deliver.
Yes, indeed. You've had it officially stamped. So, Barb, we had a chat beforehand and we were talking about, obviously the topic of the show is all about generating business from our existing customers. And you said to me, I don't know if that's going to work because I don't upsell. So I thought that was a really interesting statement to kick off this conversation. So I think what we should do is kind of reverse engineer a little bit what it is you do. So I wanted to have a chat with you about what you do when you engage a new customer, how we get to the point where we're growing them. So I wonder if you could explain to me a little bit about how it works for you then. When you take on a customer, what it is you do, how do you go about right sizing them? Do you have one package that fits them or how does that work?
Well, the first thing that happens is usually a customer calls, I need a quote. Can you tell me how much it's going to cost to fix this? Or I'm having problems and can you help me? We have our chat. We listen to all of the problems, all of the solutions that have been attempted that don't work. And now we're like, okay, well, we need to take a look. We need to send someone on site. So to do that, when we do assessments, we charge for assessments. Okay, so that's step one of the process. It's to listen to all their problems and now to assess, to measure, like what's going to be a good fix. So we send someone on site, we charge for this. Now we know everything that's going on in their network. We understand why they're having the problems that they're having. We understand what is been MacGyvered or hodgepodge together in their current technical environment that has evolved over time and gotten bigger and crazier. So yes. Essentially, now we present our solutions. So we have our solutions. So when we have this, we're communicating with the customer. Now we're telling them what it is that they need to solve their problems. So that's...
And you have a basic package, do you? So you have like a baseline. You'll always go in with like one basic offering, or we won't work with you unless you do this.
That's exactly it. And because then what happens is in that basic package or a fundamental package, you're encompassing everything to keep the client safe And on the MSP side, because we're working for the client, to keep us safe as well, because I don't want to have a client have a breach. The client doesn't want to have a breach. So essentially, we want to make sure that the tools that we're using and that the services that are being provided, we know how to use them, we know how to deliver them, we know how to communicate to the customer what they are, and that the customer understands. So that's all encompassing in the package. And in addition to all of that, the customer wants to make sure that their people, their employees, they're not being held back because of IT. So you have to provide support for the issues of, I can't print, or I can't find my column in Excel, like little things like that. So there's all these.
We all love those. Love those issues. So what does it? So if you've got a foundation package or a fundamental package, is that another package on top? Then I guess where I'm getting to is if you have someone who's really nickel and diming, and they say, look, I just want the bare essentials. Can they walk out of there with just a fundamental like security package, and then you've got a job to do to get them to take other things later on? Or
I'll give you an example. Manufacturing client, they're making pumps or something like that for a living. And essentially, let's just say that they start bidding on contracts, on government contracts. And all of a sudden, they're just like, oh, you know what? I can apply for a contract with this company who's doing a contract for this company with the Department of Defense, like, a DoD contract. So now, even though we're in Canada, we still have all of these rules that we need to abide by. So essentially, when that happens, the customer will receive a form to fill out an assessment, a self-evaluation.
Yes.
That is included in our fundamental services, because we're always doing assessments and evaluating the network so that we can have our technology business reviews, and that we're comfortable with their environment and things like that. But now there's going to be things in there that they have to change with respect to their IT environment. When that happens, now we're modifying our original agreement. Yes, we can support that, but it's a project. We're still going to do everything that we always do, but now we're changing the environment. So because there are changing, that's a new scope of work. Are we familiar with that scope of work? Yes. Do we know what's involved? Yes. Do we have the people that can handle it? Yes. But now it's different because now you're specializing. So it's really important that you do not upsell customers, I think, because you want to make sure that they always have the fundamentals so that they can stay safe and secure. And then when the upsell comes into place is when they're changing their environments.
So you mentioned about the technology business reviews. So in theory, you've got some customers there who they might have just taken your foundational package, nothing else, no other project work. And so you've got you could have a few of those customers there where in theory there's a real opportunity for expansion. Do you do that through your technology business reviews, or how do you manage that process of could we do any more with them, or could we help them more?
Oh, absolutely. Let's use Windows 10 as an example. You know what? It's expiring October the 14th, 2025. Everyone who has to upgrade, it has the ability to upgrade on their machines, that's been done. But let's just say that you have a machine, it's too old to upgrade. It doesn't have enough room. It doesn't have the capacity. It can't handle the upgrade. Well, you know what? You have to have these technology business reviews and say, hey, you know what? I know you really like that computer. And you know what? I know you've had it now for a little while, but we have to upgrade it. And then you get I just
you actually become attached to it.
That's exactly it. Then it's always, but didn't we just buy that? Actually, it is 7 years old. That's 7 years old? It looks like it's new. It's still great. Yes, we know we've been giving it love. We've been taking care of it. But now in order to stay compliant, to make sure that everything works, this one needs to be replaced with a new computer because you need to have Windows 11. So there's opportunities for discussions like that in a technology business review. It usually has to go along the lines of dealing with all of the peripherals, dealing with the whole making sure that employees are doing their security awareness training, because that's never fun to do. They always find it boring or not interested or silly and things like that. But it is a necessary evil saying, hey, you know what, we've reached out. They haven't done their security awareness training. This is where they're at. And also, by the way, we've had to contaminate this many viruses, this many things, so if you could really just give them a little bump, give them a little boost to let them know that this needs to get done. Just little things because they're on point. And these things are normal. Like when you outsource, you want to make sure that the people you are outsourcing to are communicating with you. You want to make sure that they're there all the time, but you also want to make sure that they're giving you a brief as to how it's all going so that you can plan and prepare for the future. So that's the love of the technology business reviews. They don't have to be done on a quarterly basis, all the time, but just little check-ins here and there to say, hey, just to let you know, I got you, life is good, but set aside some time for a meeting because we need to discuss what we're doing with that old printer or what we're doing with these old computers or these old servers or these old firewalls because they're end of life. And people understand that. I think at this stage of life, they understand that technology is just a machine and eventually it needs to get replaced, just like your phones, just like your cars, just things like that.
So who does those in your business, but out of interest? So who's responsible for sort of checking in and making sure that the customers are happy and they've got what they need?
I'll do them sometimes. We have an account manager that does them. Sometimes I can't help but doing them because I've bonded so well with the client because I see them at community events and things. So it's just a natural connection. Hey, just little things like that. So we have an account manager.
Is that someone who would go through a sort of structured thing or literally just kind of ad hoc or what's the basis for sort of looking for new opportunities there? Is it just literally reactive based on like you said, the Windows 10 thing or?
You know what? CDN Technologies is going to be 30 years old. So there's a lot of structure that comes into place that we've learned over time. So it's never a whole, hey, how's it going? Like fist bump conversation type of thing. There's always a lot of structure to everything and points that need to get covered when we're having meetings. And the reason why is we want to make sure that the customers are always treated in a professional manner, that they're spoken to appropriately, and everything that comes out of someone's mouth does not mislead them or make them fear what's going on with respect to their IT. So there's always structure and communication that comes into play. It's never an ad hoc conversation. And I think that that's one of the things that you learn, the first thing that you learn when it comes in sales. It's never a, hey, how's it going?
One of the things I wanted to ask you about was the fact that I know you put your team through Disney training as part of their customer service routine. And I'm curious, I wonder if you could just tell us, why is that? Why do you choose Disney of all places? And what is it they get from that? How does that help them in their daily roles?
Well, let's just see who all does Disney training for their staff. The Ritz-Carlton, the Four Seasons, Marriott properties, Starbucks, they all do Disney training for their staff because they want their customers to have pleasant and enjoyable experiences that are consistent, that are consistent. Disney, because Disney is the happiest place on earth, is all about establishing a good culture and happy experiences for all of their customers. I want the same for ours. So when our customers interact with our techs, the techs are extremely smart technically. But that doesn't mean their soft skills are the greatest. So they need that type of professional development training so that they can properly share their knowledge to the customers so that it is a happy experience for everyone. So that's why I do it.
What's the biggest takeaway when they come back from those sessions? What is it they say to you? They say, "Oh, look, the thing that I really enjoyed most was this," or "I'm thinking of an MSP listening to this and thinking, I wonder what they got from that I could maybe learn from." Is there anything you think you could share?
Recently, they've been saying, so happy that we have to go to Florida to do this training and we don't do it online anymore.
Aside from the fact they get to go to Disneyland.
It's an eye-opener for them. They never understood that there is a science to it, that there is a process to it. And once you understand that science, the process, once you understand the affirmative language patterns that you use to communicate, it makes getting their job done a hell of a lot faster, and it's more pleasant. It reduces tech calls, the time that you're spending on their phone with their customers, because they're getting service. The customer is getting service right away because the techs are able to easily deliver. So I think that's the biggest thing, that their aha moment, that, oh, there is a process that comes into place, and oh yeah, this process is consistent. When you go to any of these places like Four Seasons, the Ritz, you know that it is known as being an upper level, and no matter which one you go to, it's going to be consistently the same. So it begins to sink in that, oh, this is training. Like, my pleasure is training. Instead of saying, yeah, thanks, no problem. No problem is a negative. My pleasure, happy to help, all good, that's a positive. So just little things like that.
That's just bringing the sunshine on every call, essentially.
Absolutely, bringing in the sun, that nice Florida sun.
This episode is sponsored by Sales Builder, where I work. I really wanted to tell you about us because I see so many MSP sales teams buried in admin instead of talking to customers and building relationships. We help you automate your sales process with standardized product catalogs and professional proposals. Our service matrix, or the white space module, that's the bit that shows you visually where the opportunities are in your customer base, from service gaps to upcoming renewals. Everything links directly with your PSA and, of course, your distributors. If you'd like to free up your sales team's time and spot more revenue opportunities, simply connect with me on LinkedIn or head to salesbuilder.com. Let's get back to it. Given your long history and the brilliant success of the business, you've obviously got some real gold in there as to how you've done it. And I think a big part of it is going to be relationships. I've seen that you've talked about that in your book. So I wonder if you could touch on that a little bit, maybe on sort of what the role of the relationship is in reinforcing those customer connections, and ultimately that is going to lead to them spending more.
So this book, I have it here because Empathetic Leadership, How to Build Trust and Drive Results. It was a real honor to participate in this. Like, when Chris Voss asks if you want to co-author a book with him, it's really hard to say no to him.
Yes, definitely.
So this was really nice to do. It was a great thing. It was a great learning experience. And what I learned by being empathetic is to listen and to understand, to emotionally connect and understand what it is that small business owners go through. CDN Technologies, we're a small business ourselves, so it's easy to understand the growth and the needs and everything that happens, and understanding that it's not happening to you, it's just happening, and how to cope with that and to move forward. Because when you are dealing with a breach, when you're dealing with ransomware, when you're dealing with a business email compromise, it's happening, and you have to be on point and sensitive and communicate clearly and concisely in the moment. At the same time, understand that this person on the other end is freaking out. So you know what the problem is, but you can't deliver it in a black and white, unemotional, robotic type of way. You have to understand what it is that they're going through and be relaxed, be comforting, be the guiding light that's at the end of the tunnel for them. So that's what my empathetic leadership book is about. And then to do all of the things preventative so you don't have to be a victim of ransomware, business email compromise, or data breach.
Can I ask you, Barb, you seem to have it all sorted, but I imagine that it's been a bit of a growth journey for you over the period that's been going. Is there any mistakes that you feel like you've made along the way in terms of sort of the how you've gone about the sort of the packaging, pricing, the approach to customers? Because it seems like a well-oiled machine now, but I'm thinking of any MSPs listening that are maybe thinking, okay, well, this is great. Barb's got it sorted, but anything I can learn from there that maybe along the way she's tweaked, or any step changes that you've made and you've gone, yeah, that was a big change that helped us a lot.
I made a big mistake earlier on, and I will remember it forever. And it does have to do with package price and profit from our favorite Nigel Moore. And
yes, of course.
And that is, I wasn't charging enough. So when you're not charging enough, what that means is that you're losing money and you are paying to work for somebody. And what I mean by that is that I'm paying myself to work for you. So essentially that type of business model, it does not end up working. So that was mistake number one. And I can actually add to that. When our vendors charge us for tools so that we can do free things, you need to charge for that, because essentially that business model doesn't work either. Because if you don't have the money coming in to pay for the tools for you to do your free things, you're not going to be successful either. So that was second mistake. The third and the biggest mistake that I made was bad accounting. Essentially, in the beginning, I thought that my accountant had everything in order for me, but my accountant made a mistake. And when I brought that to my accountant, and it had to do with taxes and paying taxes, and we got audited. And when I went back to my accountant, they said, "Oh, I did my best." Sorry, we did our best. And I was so angry, disappointed, angry, I think was the biggest thing, because I trusted
Seems like a fair reaction to that response, yes.
Because I trusted someone. I trusted someone who I thought was doing a good job. So my biggest mistake was to trust and not verify. So at the end of the day, I can say that the biggest mistake was not knowing the numbers involved and learning the hard way. So always make sure that you know your numbers, and just because your bank account balance at the end of the month is greater than what it is at the beginning of the month, it doesn't mean that you're profitable or that you're running a good business, because that eventually runs out or you get stuck in the rat race. You never come out ahead. So the biggest mistake was not knowing the numbers. Like, they come back and they bite you. All right.
Yeah, I think that's really honest of you to share that with us, because I mean, that's when I speak to people in peer groups and things and customers, I know it's quite common that actually the numbers that look great for vanity, in reality, the margins just aren't there. So it's a mistake that so many people fall into.
Top line is for vanity and bottom line is for sanity. Know your numbers so that you stay sane.
Yeah, exactly. It's so important. Listen, we've got a couple of sections, or segments as we call them in our show. And the first one is called Pass the Pitchfork. And this is where we get to ask you a question from our previous guest. So it was Warwick Brown, who is an account management specialist. And he asks, what do you do to champion account management, if anything, in your business?
Oh, communication and old school communication, the phone calls. Like, above email, like the phone calls, the in-person visits, the little customer appreciation gifts, the comments on LinkedIn when you see that they've reached a milestone or it's their birthday. Old school manners, like, to champion client relationships and account management, use all the manners that your mother taught you to be proper. Like, communicate, talk.
You structure that at all, or do you just make sure that you're just present and you're just aware, or is there any sort of anything that you sort of go through where you think, okay, I'm going to actually have a list here of things I need to do?
That's the structured list. Like, like communicate. Like, communicate. Call them. Like, like when was we keep a CRM. So, the last phone call. Emails, like, emails don't count, essentially, because everybody gets so many emails and things like that. Because teaching people how to, like, talk on the phone, like, that's different because you have audio in the ear and it's a real person. So to communicate by phone, getting a nice little package in the mail is fabulous. Like, like, oh, what does the magic 8 ball say your day is going to be like today? It says you may rely on it. So obviously I didn't ask the great question, but great communication, you may rely on it.
I haven't seen one of those for years. That's brilliant.
So just little things like that. It's all about communication. All relationships have to have good communication. Sending an email is not communication. Talking, hearing a voice is great communication, whether it's by phone, whether it's in person. Sending a gift of appreciation, something little, something that reminds you of them that you may see, like all those things, they work. A thank you note, that works. Like, it's a tangible thing. You get it in the mail. And so great communication is essential for great account management.
And so you heard it here first. Emails don't count. What a great statement.
Yes.
So, Barb, that's great. What was your question for our next guest? And this happens to be a large MSP. So have you got a question you'd like to ask them on the topic of sales or account management or anything around those areas?
Ask them specifically. Barbara Paluszkiewicz from CDN Technologies would like to know, what is your exit strategy?
I'll leave it there. I'm not going to ask any more probing questions. Our next section is called Industry Manure. So this is where you get to let us know, what is it that grinds your gears? Is there any advice that you hear banded around from peers, colleagues at events, or whatever you like, that you just think, yeah, it doesn't really sit very well with me. That doesn't work for me at all.
All right. I'm going to talk about FOMO, like, the fear of missing out. So we met last year at ChannelCon, and neither one of us is there right now. So there's a bit of FOMO. So I see that everyone is getting together and having these dinners, which is great. What's the topic of conversation? Who, like what did you learn? So my little quirk is I love getting together. I see that you guys are getting together. That's great. But what are you guys talking about? Like, like what's trending right now in the channel space? Like, what's the conversation at the dinner table? That's what I want to know. And sometimes people share that and sometimes they don't. It's all about like cheers. We're here having a great time. Sorry, you're not. I already know that already. And thanks for pointing it out. But essentially, we all know that when we get together at an industry event, that there's always trending topics. What's good, what's bad, what's ugly. What are those things that are happening, during those conversations? So that's my little pet peeve. So yay, thanks for rubbing it in that I'm not there. But tell me, what's new and exciting, and what are you guys talking about? I want to know that part.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think when you're looking at this, you're looking at the social feeds and you're thinking, okay, yeah, so what is it? What is it? What have I missed? And it's not necessarily the food, because you can't taste that through social. So yeah, I agree with you there. All right, Barb, listen, it's been fantastic talking to you as always. It's always a pleasure. It's time for our yell from the barn.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Which is where you get a chance to plug your business and anything interesting that's happening in your world at the moment.
Okay, well, CDN Technologies, IT service, IT support, and cybersecurity services. We're based out of Oakville, Ontario, Canada. Our unique selling proposition is we have our CompTIA Security Trust Mark, which is fabulous. and we send our techs through Disney training for good customer service and everything that our customers tell us, and that is that they enjoy working for us or working with us. Our employees enjoy working for us, so that part is all good. We're proud to be Canadian. We're proud to be local. If you are an MSP and you are looking at changing your hat, changing your role, and you're tired of running the business side of an MSP and you just want to focus on the tech or you just want to focus on the cyber, chances are you're extremely talented and I'm here for you. I'd love to take over the other side of things, all of the sales, the marketing, the bill collecting, so you can just focus on the tech and do that, and I'm happy to help you out. So please reach out. 905-542-9759, cdntechnologies.com, or reach out to James. He's popular and knows everything and everyone.
I wish. I just rely on people like you to make me sound a bit smarter. So listen, Barb, thank you so much for your time. It's been wonderful having you on. Wishing you all the best, and we'll catch you very soon, hopefully.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and I always enjoy our chats. Thank you.
Well, Disney can bring the Florida sunshine to Barb's techs. I think Barb brought the sunshine to our show. What do you think? She was fantastic. It's so lovely talking to her. She makes it all sound so effortless, just running a business for 30 years successfully with sustained growth over that time. Yeah, it all sounds almost like relaxing. It always amazes me. I love talking to her. So, I mean, this is about really not overcomplicating things, isn't it? A few bits of advice. Think about charging for assessments up front. Always worth taking that on board. Create some foundational packages. I mean, everyone does this differently, but it's an idea. It's working well for her. Make sure that you're not relying on email instead of phone calls and face-to-face meetings, especially when you're trying to cultivate relationships where you're expecting more business to come out of it. There's no replacement for picking up the phone, and it's very easy to fall into that lull of just just email them instead, and ultimately you're going to pay a price for that. And third, have you invested in soft skills recently? I think this is something to really think about. Invest in soft skills training for your techs, because technical expertise really doesn't mean that much without having some empathy involved there as well. It's such an important factor. So start with one foundational package, pick up the phone more often, and watch your client relationships transform. Sometimes simple really is better. That is it for this episode of Harvest. If you found this useful, all the links we mentioned are in the show notes. And of course, if you enjoyed it, please do leave us a review and share it with a friend, or even better, someone else in the industry who you know would get value from it. Until next time, happy harvesting.